that it is important for us to recognize this week, which is National Infertility Awareness Week, which is something we have been very open and transparent on DBL, as well as Daytime Talk After Dark. And if you didn't know, the first fertility clinic was opened 100 years ago, and science has come a long, long way since then. So our sponsor, the Positive Energy Campaign, actually posted a very cool video about that, the science in fertility awareness. Take a look at the video now.
When you think of oil and gas, you probably picture the stuff that fuels your car. But guess what? Oil and gas have also helped make some important medical breakthroughs, like treatments for infertility. Take IVF, for example. The test tubes, syringes, and even some of the tools used in these treatments are made from petroleum-based materials. Also, some of the hormones used in fertility treatments are made with petroleum-derived compounds. But while oil and gas have played a role in helping families grow, there's also a lot of focus on how we can make things more environmentally friendly. The goal is to find a way to balance both progress and sustainability for a better future. Follow the Positive Energy Campaign for more.
So energy can be complicated, as we all know, and sometimes a bit controversial. So the Positive Energy Campaign is trying to debunk a lot of myths that have come through and teach us the proper way of looking at energy through a lens that is more unbiased. So we want to thank the Positive Energy Campaign for that. Stay in the loop by subscribing to their YouTube channel.
What up? Yes, it feels good to say. Welcome to Daytime Talk After Dark. My name is Al Jackson, but you guys know, my not Al's know, that is unimportant. What is important is that we are in our new studio.
New studio.
Shout out Dude IDK, just growing up before our eyes. Who are our eyes? These two beautiful blue eyes.
Green, but thanks for noticing after 7 years.
How many years have I been looking right in your face?
You've been like 2 feet away from me, so they're green eyes. What's up, everybody? It's good to see everyone.
Tori Shulman in the building.
In the building. We're
Yes.
so excited to have you guys. I hope you're having a good week. Happy Tuesday.
It's good to see that you missed me. You didn't even say, I'm glad you're back.
So glad you're back. Where have you been? Tell us everything.
I have been on tour really all over the Midwest.
You really have been everywhere.
Kansas City, Omaha, Cincinnati, Columbus, Louisville, Fort Wayne, Indianapolis. Had a great time. Been on tour with my boy Frank Caliendo. So check out my Instagram. We have more shows coming up. If you're anywhere on the East Coast, we're going to D.C.
Hello.
Tell your dad to come out. Philadelphia.
Hello.
Yeah, so we're gonna. We had a great time. I just had just one of the best times doing stand-up that I've had in years. So it was really great to be back out there.
So proud of you. And I saw you do stand-up here at Dude IDK, and you were hilarious headlining.
Well, thank you.
So congratulations. You were so good.
Thank you.
I want to rag on him, but he has been killing it. Julia, you're totally right. He's been so good.
It was so much fun. And you guys, we did it. It's amazing how they can transform this space.
Yeah.
But, you know,
this space is pretty magical.
It's weird to tell a joke and be looking right at Michael Dean. I'm like, I can't look at him when I say this. And so I'll turn and then it's just Tori smiling at me. So honestly, it's feeling surrounded by love because it was one of the best nights I've ever had.
So good.
Doing stand-up. So
I had a great time.
Shout out Dude IDK for making it happen. First flagship show. Jacob and Nick, you guys are absolutely amazing. So yes, thank you.
They're okay.
Yes, they're wonderful. And also, we must say, before we go any further, it must be said, because he'll never say it, it was Nick's birthday.
It was Nick's birthday.
It was Nick's birthday.
Happy birthday. Let's make him uncomfortable.
35th?
35 is big.
Oh, my.
Huh? Do you want to say anything, Nick?
It's huge. Yeah.
Well, that's...
I don't know. Michael Dean, do you care about your birthday? No. Jacob, do you care? I wouldn't notice if it passed. And no one said anything. It means nothing to me. Do you care?
Yeah, because I think that's all very sad that no one cares. That's a wonderful thing that you're born. That's beautiful.
Well, Tori, here's something you probably do care about.
Yes.
And I feel like you were probably an early adopter of this. Earth Day. You guys remember that? That was a big deal. I remember that.
Huge.
Remember Captain Planet when we were little kids?
Your powers combined. I am Captain Planet.
Yes, they combined to make the most boring TV show.
The recyclable superhero. That's all I remember. And I remember learning a lot about shutting off my water while brushing my teeth during Earth Day. That was like a really big deal. And I just, let's treat the Earth a little bit more carefully than we currently are.
Yes, and it must be said that obviously, Night Owls, you guys know we could do better. But if you guys, some of y'all are my age, you remember there was a time where people littered. Like, people would just throw their trash out of the window.
In old school, he takes his burrito and just like throws it out the window.
If you want to date and somebody did that, you would text me like, here's the last known place I am, because that's how crazy it is.
To litter.
But think about how far we've come where, like, people, it's not crazy to recycle. It is crazy to litter. So we are getting better.
Yeah, and I will say this. Does anyone remember that there was a hole in the ozone layer and about 100 countries actually came together and we fixed the hole in the ozone?
As far as we know.
No, it's fixed. The layer came back. No one talks about this hugely successful scientific experiment that grabbed the world together and we're like, yep, it's all got better. So just know it can do good.
Yes, I feel like human beings, we don't do a good job of highlighting the things that we have done that are really cool.
Right.
Like the Sphere in Vegas.
Oh, that is cool.
It's amazing. For all our terrible stuff
totally.
that got to talk about today, sometimes you're like, sometimes the human mind comes up with the Sphere.
Dude.
There was a picture, because it's near the airport.
Yeah.
When it's like it turns into like a yellow emoji smiley face.
Yeah.
And as the plane is going down the runway, it looks at it and then watches it leave. It's so cool.
You could have picked anything in the whole world. You're like, the Sphere. Yeah, it's like, no, it is really cool.
It's like an eighth wonder of the world.
It is. It's brilliant.
But we do need to talk about something that is very important, not only to us, but probably to a lot of our viewers and a lot of people that our viewers love. And that is that it's National Infertility Awareness Week.
Very good, Al. Yeah, and we have been really open at DBL about opening up about ourselves and our issues and reacting and relating to you guys. So Erica Cobb, as you know, has been on this journey, and she actually interviewed Colton Brown, who is the Bachelor. What did I say, Colton Brown?
Yes.
Who's that?
Colton Brown. He's a bluegrass singer.
He is?
Louisville. No, I'm making that up.
Shout out to that guy. But Colton Underwood, excuse me. He was on The Bachelor. He is now married to Jordan, and he actually got an interview. What? Yeah, Jordan, a man. Oh, he came out. And this interview is with Erica Cobb, and it's on her YouTube at comeback.tv.
And it'll be better than this.
And it'll be way better than this.
Stumble sesh.
Okay, but take a look at this wonderful promo about National Infertility Awareness Week. Take a look.
At each other like this was supposed to be like a quick afternoon, and now we're sitting here like emotional wrecks.
Infertility affects 1 in 6 people. That's millions of people waiting, searching, hoping.
Really are building this team that is exploring the most intimate parts of your life.
Former Bachelor star Colton Underwood and his husband Jordan Brown open up about their path to becoming parents.
The thing I have often said about it is it's this very unusual mix of capitalism and commercial money changing hands and miracle.
If you're in the thick of it, supporting someone who is or just want to understand, Fertility Unfiltered is for you.
So a lot of you just wrote in and said that you've been watching it earlier. Abby Phillips, she interviewed from CNN, which was a great get. She also interviewed Anthony, her husband, as they're going through it. So keep watching, you guys. Really fascinating, really transparent podcast for anyone else going through those issues.
You know what? We're in a space in our culture where faux masculinity is at its height. People, and I think it comes from a natural place. People, especially men, are indoctrinated with a certain ideal of what a man is and what they need to do to achieve that. And sometimes they see it as being cruel. Sometimes they see it as being domineering or not taking no stuff. I look at Anthony and I'm like, what a dude he is.
What a man, what a man,
what a real
what a
man he is. And he's somebody that I constantly aspire to be like.
Everybody wants to be Anthony. Let's all agree. Everybody wants to be Anthony.
Does anybody want to be like me, Tori? I'm right here.
We all want to be like Anthony. No, he's a special dude. He really is a special guy. And I think it's great that he was so open to sit down with Erica. So, yes.
Yes, we love you guys. But
Everyone
you know
go watch
that.
tonight,
Now,
yeah.
Tori, I'm sure a lot of our viewers also know that sadly the Pope passed away recently.
Y'all, the Pope passed yesterday. I'm Jewish.
Why are you acting like there's a stage mom over there, even though Michael Dean is kind of...
He is a stage
Michael
mom.
Dean is like this. He's like, smile.
Be better. You're doing great, sweetie. You're doing great. So the Pope died. If you guys didn't know, he was a very... some popes are specific in what they aspire to, and he was very into poverty. And he would go out at night and wash the poor's feet and not tell anyone and go in disguise. He was also a big leader for the LGBTQ community in terms of at least opening up the Catholic Church to some of that.
To have the discussion.
Yeah, like he was, before we had Benedict, who scared me a lot. But this Pope was fascinating and put down the genocide in what's going on, of course, in the Middle East and all of that. So a big loss right now. And I don't know if you guys know, but when a Pope dies, the other popes, the little popes, I feel like I'm being really disrespectful.
I don't think
maybe I'm
that's
not
a
the
term.
messenger.
Yes.
The other cardinals come in.
That sounds like a show on Hulu, The Little Pope.
The little Pope comes in, and they all get together, and until they all agree unanimously, you have what?
We're going to mention J.D. Vance after this.
Okay, sorry.
Sometimes you can just act like you've been on a professional set rather than acting like somebody dropped a glass over there.
I'm so sorry. I'm just saying that if you didn't know, to choose the next Pope, they all have to get together, and if they can come up with it unanimously, a puff of white smoke comes out of the Vatican. And if they can't, black smoke comes out of the Vatican. And they keep going with black smoke until they get to white smoke. And it's all very like Illuminati, conclave, like papal politics. It's very interesting, guys. Very interesting.
It's weird, but
sure.
I would want to talk to the smoke guys.
Yeah.
Because you better nail it. Because I know if I had that job in my ADHD,
This is the white one.
I would just be releasing like black smoke, and I'd be like, "Wait, what'd you say?" Like, I'm on a delay in here. There's no Wi-Fi. But on a real note, J.D. Vance was the last real dignitary to meet with the Pope, and I see Julie Ward is mentioning that she's embarrassed that J.D. was over there, but he was one of the last people, Julie, to see him, and he spoke on it. Tori, I wanted to because I always want to broaden out the conversations when we talk about celebrities. It's very like a sliver.
Oh my God! She says Julia says Black Cloud follows J.D. Vance wherever he goes.
I'm not going to refute that until I'm sure. But no matter who it is, let's take J.D. Vance out of it. Tori, what do you feel about whenever a celebrity dies, especially a comic, you see the flood. You guys see it on your timelines of people posting a picture with that person, and of course it seems like, yeah, that's a nice thing to do, but is that, Tori, then just making it about you in a circular way?
Kind of. So if you guys don't know, Jimmy Fallon also posted a picture of him shaking the Pope's hand, and he was like, "Glad I made him laugh, R.I.P." And some people took that the wrong way as like, way to be about you. I don't know. I think it is making it about you, but I would do it.
Right.
I would. It shows that you've had some kind of connection with that person, that you have some kind of investment. But I do think you're kind of making it a little bit about you. What do you think? Maybe if it's a special interaction. Like, I remember this. Right. Questlove once said that he was in an elevator, and Robin Williams got in, and the Roots band were all there. And sorry to take it away from the Pope, but Robin Williams got in, and he looked at Questlove, and he named every single member of the Roots band by name.
Wow.
And he said, "My son and daughter love you." And the fact that Questlove repeated that story after Robin Williams passed just shows you another part of like how close he was with his family. Unless it's that type of story, we don't really need to know that you did anything with the person. But that story emphasizes the type of person they are.
Yeah, well, there's two ways that I look at this. One is, like you said, when you've had a specific interaction with the person, not just a handshake. I have a friend of mine, and when DMX passed away, she talked about the fact that when she was much younger, her and a girlfriend ran into him and some of his boys, and he invited them to a party or something. I don't want to kill the story, but basically you're kind of waiting for she was just like, he was the sweetest guy.
Yeah.
He made sure they were taken care of all night. He made
See,
sure
that
people
helps.
and it's just like such a cool perspective on DMX because there were so many people trying to vilify him when he died.
Totally.
And the other side of that coin is I wonder when you're really close to the person. I've lost a lot of friends in the last 3 or 4 years. Sometimes I'm too torn up to post. And so that kind of corroborates what you're saying is that you're making it about you, because when you're really heartbroken, I don't know if I would post, like when my friend Kevin passed away when we were on air at DBL, I was in shock for weeks, you know? So I don't know if I was able to post, that might tell me that I don't have a close enough bond, because when you're really close, the idea of even voicing or typing out that this person is gone makes it more real, and I wasn't able to even
I
do
hear that, but
so.
if like when my mom passed,
But that's just how I grieve.
Right, and
That's
maybe
just
that's
me.
your grieving. I want to hear people's stories about her. So
Yes.
like, yeah, that's important to me too.
Yes. All right.
yeah.
Well, it's, you know, and it's to each their own, and I do like that we all kind of, because honestly, like when I was on the road, I saw pictures that you posted, you know, at the gravesite with your mom, and I thought it was beautiful, and I thought it was intimate, and I thought it was like a slice of human life that we never see, because you're not incentivized to be vulnerable. That's seen as weakness, but just to kind of just lay down next to her headstone and connect with her, because like I said, I just feel like the human spirit is like, you know, the cable that goes into the back of the TV. When you unplug it, that signal's still there.
Yeah.
It's just not being shown through the TV. So I do believe that your mom is just up there swirling in the heavens with my dad.
Yeah.
Up there kicking it.
I bet they're watching right now.
Let's hope so. Well, let's put on a show for him, Tori.
Hoot!
Let's get into it. I wonder if your mom or my dad was watching Pete Hegseth.
First of all, can I just say something? Why, when you have, what are these called?
Earpieces?
You know, these things. Sideburns. His go all the way to the chin.
Right.
It is so weird. It's like a helmet. I don't know. I really went from my mom's gravestone to Hegseth.
Yes.
You know, but first I just want to say that about Hegseth. Cut this stuff.
Yes, there was a period of time in Black culture where when you could grow a beard, I definitely did this. You connected all the way down from the jawbone. It would hit your chin where you'd have some hair, and then you would have the goatee. And it really would. All you needed was the crossbar for the NFL
Just
helmet.
it?
Yes, but like it's so interesting how
Weird facial hair, huh?
Yeah, men are so particular. And I was
Yeah.
talking to Frank Caliendo about this when we were on tour in the green room. It's so interesting how the narrative always gets spun that like, oh, you ladies and your shopping and your shoes. For every one woman I know that has a shoe thing, I know 10 men. I know 10.
With a shoe thing?
Oh, my,
Yeah.
sneakerhead. I had friends in high school that would skip school when the Jordans would come out, and they would be in front of the Foot Locker at 4 o'clock in the morning with a lawn chair, and they would get them in all 3 or 4 colors. Like, they would save up all summer for it. And they're still like that.
Yeah, in LA, and I lived on Fairfax. That's where
Yes,
Supreme
they would be
was, and they would just pack them in all night long, and I'd be like, "Wow, this is crazy."
Yes, but also at the barbershop, when I used to go to, obviously, black barbershop, you would just, as a young guy, you would have like $20 from your dad, and you'd be waiting there, and there would be an older guy in front of you, and he would be taking forever. He'd be like, "Can you make the back rounded? Let me see the mirror." And just, I'm like, what is happening?
Really?
I didn't know dudes cared. They do.
Yeah, they really
Black
do.
men care.
But back to Pete
Yes.
Hegseth. I'm so sorry. You okay? I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm making
He's
sure
recovering.
he's okay. Okay. Yeah. So unfortunately, he was on another snafu, if you will. He texted another.
Do you think it's irresponsible for us to call this a snafu?
Yeah, my air quotes were telling you that it's irresponsible.
Well, it's just one air quote, so it's just bunny ears. Okay.
The whole thing is ridiculous. And if you did watch the clip of him at the White House Easter Bunny egg roll, he was like, "They're trying to make a mockery. They're trying to make a mockery." And his poor kids were in the back, and they zoomed in, and they were like terrified of their dad.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Trump is saying he's standing by Hegseth at this point. So we have 2 instances of not being in a SCIF or a secured location when you're sending classified information. Trump also likes to fire people. And if he needs a distraction, that's always a good one. So I would, if I'm Hegseth, my head is on a swivel. Is that what people say?
Yes.
Okay.
But
I'm watching both ways.
But I
so.
mean, clearly he's not. He's clearly irresponsible, and maybe we're dancing around a bigger issue here, and that's that he's allowed to make these mistakes because somebody's okay with it. Let's be honest here, Tori. We're talking about national security.
Oh, so you don't think this is an accident?
It's not that it's we just forgot that there were boxes of documents taken from the White House. The FBI asked for them back. This was the original Trump issue when he left office. We then find out those boxes are unattended in Mar-a-Lago in a ballroom, somewhere in a bathroom. There are agencies within every country that their version of the CIA, their entire mission, their entire life, the best of the best of these professionals is to find that information. Are you telling me those people didn't know that information was in a bathroom at a golf course?
Well, okay.
It's just, I'm not even conspiracy Al. It's right in your face.
I hear that. I also know that at some point there was some confusion if someone at some point on the chat was in Moscow at the time. I think they've refuted that, the one on Hegseth. But all we know is, is it just their TV? Are we doing something wrong or no? We're good? Oh, cool. We're having audio stuff. We guys know.
Yes. I'll say this. Julia said that Trump's pride won't let him admit that he made a mistake, and I think that that's it. I think that when Trump fired somebody, it would be when somebody said something on a podcast he didn't like about him, somebody didn't get his back, that's when he would give them the frog march out of the White House. Mm-hmm. But nobody is going to tell Trump to fire somebody that he appointed. That would mean that he made a mistake. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like Hegseth is safer. If this doesn't get you fired, if you worked at Salt and Straw, famously, ice cream place, if you left and you left the door unlocked 2 times in a row,
I would be fired.
You would be fired.
I would definitely be fired.
You would absolutely be fired. So that's why this is a little strange.
It is a little bit. Maybe someone said maybe Hegseth is running interference into our audio.
Yeah. Well, I do want to ask you this I don't want to get sidetracked, but this is a conversation I was having with Frank Caliendo, and I think anybody that talks about popular culture, that talks about news, talks about politics, especially in this day and age, do you ever worry about any kind of blowback for anything that you say on like a national scale? Not that like the government would come down on you and imprison you, not that that's that crazy, but in terms of, there are people that are coming back from overseas that are lawyers, that have represented people that the administration doesn't like, that have been stopped. Would you be shocked if the government wasn't aware at least of your existence?
Are you saying, do I have a file?
Not a file, but just like, I'm sure that there's small people that go around and find dissenting voices.
Oh, yeah. And I think at some point people thought it was crazy that they had a file on Lennon. Remember John Lennon, Martin Luther King, the FBI? Turns out they were following all of them, surveilling all of them. So if you think you're not big enough, you're probably wrong. There's also like keywords that the government looks into that I'm always worried that I'm being followed by.
Like, what's a keyword?
If I say it now, I'll get followed more. No, I know, if you're looking up conspiracy theories over and over and over again, at some point the domestic agency, that is the FBI, will be like, who are you? They should at least be taking a look at that.
Okay. All right. Well, let's keep it moving. And it's a story that I feel like we've done, but just the name has changed. The one name that's been consistent is Tony Busby. He has been the attorney representing the alleged victims in the Deshaun Watson massage therapist cases. He represented the now deemed non-credible accuser of Jay-Z and Puffy. And now he's representing another accuser going after let's be honest, another rich black man. 3 for 3 here.
Yeah.
There's a
There's a pattern, right?
There's a trend. And now he is turning his attention to Shannon Sharpe, who has an accuser that is accusing him of essay.
And Shannon Sharpe, for those who don't know, is a sports reporter, am I right? And also a podcaster.
He was also a Hall of Fame tight end.
He was a Hall of tight
in Denver, yes, very famous football player.
And tight ends are on the ends.
Yes.
And they're tight.
Yes. They're tight to the formation.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
And Michael Dean is okay. Interesting. Okay. So. Talk to me about the Shannon Sharpe. He's being accused of essay by someone, and the same.
And this is somebody that he has had, it seems like, at least a pretty significant relationship leading up to this. Shannon then went on his Instagram and posted.
Because I just saw this just now.
Yes,
Yeah.
he posted screenshots from this alleged accuser, and it was her speaking in I would not even say a very sexual nature.
It was kinky. It was all about her kinks.
The most sexual nature.
Yeah,
I read a lot
but
of
let's
them.
not kink shame. It was just
No
about
one's
her.
kink shaming. I'm just saying.
I'm not kink shaming.
Yeah, I'm not either. I'm
I
just
love
saying.
when we repeat that. Are you kink shaming?
I'm not kink. Are you
I'm not kink shaming.
Yeah.
No one's kink shaming.
Yeah, I'm just saying they did have it seems like a pretty storied sexual relationship.
Yeah, and they were very open about asking for that.
Right.
And about violent parts of that.
Right. It was
Consensual violence.
Yes, consensual
Correct.
violence. And yes, choke.
Okay, so Michael is just going to jump on in. Yeah, there was like dog collars mentioned, choking mentioned. So when you get into, again, I'm not kink shaming.
We got it.
Okay, I'm just simply saying. But she was asking for those types of things, and then so it gets a little messier, and he's putting it out there before it gets into the courts.
Right.
By the way, this is now all discovery because he did that, but go ahead.
Right. It does bring kind of to mind, there was a case with a Dodgers player who was accused of SA. He was a famous pitcher, Trevor Bauer, and he had a very physical relationship that involved hitting with a female partner.
Like consensual?
Yes.
Okay.
And she then went after him for SA.
Like a setup.
It was later deemed to be not credible, but it cost him his career.
Oh,
he
wow.
never pitched again.
Wow.
And Shannon Sharpe at this point has vowed to sue this person for defamation.
Of course.
So I'm wondering, Tori, as we kind of circle back to the lawyer, Tony Busby, who his last client was deemed totally non-credible and seemed non-credible leading up to it. Her story was falling apart from the first minute go. What is the penalty for an attorney, and obviously you're not an attorney, but you might know, for bringing up, dare I say...
False charges?
Just non-credible...
Have you heard of Saul on Better Call Saul? Like, ambulance chasers, I'm sure some of you have already brought that up. They are the bottom level feeders that keep lawyers alive, but that's all they do. They just try and go after fake things, fake injuries, setups. So what he has become, Tony Busby, am I saying that right?
Yes.
Great name, by the way. But he's become like and I don't mean this with any disrespect, a lot like Benjamin Crump, who has stood up specifically for people that have been taken down by police activity and police violence. So he's made a name for himself as someone who stands up for those that are getting railroaded.
But, I mean, I wouldn't conflate Ben Crump with Tony Busby.
No, not at all. I'm saying
I want to make sure that you're saying that.
Yeah.
Benjamin
They have their
Crump,
own lane.
like when you see him on TV, he's probably representing somebody that has been wronged.
A civil rights injury,
absolutely.
right? And that you probably believe Benjamin Crump.
Right.
So if I see Tony Busby again with like Jay-Z and now he's with Sharpe, I'm most likely going to be like, that guy takes cases that he knows has enough evidence that he's going to win and probably countersue.
Right, but it seems very dangerous because I know Jay-Z was very adamant about continuing to try and sue Tony Busby out of existence. And now if this one is also deemed non-credible, he and his law firm, would they be on the hook for bringing non-credible? Yeah,
there is a well, is this New York?
I don't know.
So if there's a possibility, you can bring around charges and see if that's, recklessness or negligent, or malpractice, basically, and you get the person just disbarred from the state they're in. And that's what happened to Giuliani. I mean, when you really want to hurt a lawyer where they're at, you take away their license to fight, to be in their route. So Tony Busby might have a buzz kill. I'm so sorry.
I knew you were good. You were searching for it, and it wasn't there.
I was like, should I say it? I shouldn't.
Well, are you hot?
A little.
Okay. You look
like in general?
No, just like you seem a little warm.
What do you mean?
I don't know.
Don't say that to a girl.
Well, you're fanning yourself like you're in a Southern church.
Okay, well, I felt like maybe that joke was inappropriate, so now I feel really bad.
All right.
Yeah, it does. I do want to read out. Julie says, it's hurting those that are true victims. It makes my blood boil.
Right.
Lawyers can be scum of the earth.
And also,
I totally know what you mean.
I'm wondering, what is the penalty, Night Owls, for taking somebody like Jay-Z that has a fairly impeccable background and like when you accuse somebody of SA, that is a story that was a headline on TMZ probably 9 to 15 times.
Well, you can be countersued, and you can be sued for defamation, and you can lose your legal license, and you can also be fined in a civil court. So you can be bankrupt and disbarred. That's the name of his next album.
Oh.
Bankrupt and Disbarred.
He should do it live from the Tony Busby offices. Just go in there, and I would keep the
Like
pictures.
Lemonade with a bat?
I would keep the pictures of his family on his desk. I wouldn't change anything. I would just take over that space,
be like,
liquidate
Busby.
everything. Yes, and then make a rap from there. Well, Tori, let's talk about some beautiful things.
Tori is hot. Oh, do you mean like temperature-wise? Oh, man, thanks.
You're hot in both ways.
It's not fun.
Well, let's talk about somebody that's hot and really just in such a way that People magazine decided to recognize them.
I don't know if I agree with this decision.
Look, People elected me the world's most beautiful man.
No one
Ninth year in a
recognized
row.
you ever as the hottest man.
It is, well, tell everybody who the most beautiful person
Drum roll, please. This is the world's most beautiful woman or person.
which is like, let's slow down, bro.
Whoa! The world's most beautiful person? Okay. The answer is Demi Moore.
No. That's how you should have read it at the awards ceremony. Like you're under contractual obligation to say it. I mean, Tori, I sense your consternation.
Demi Moore is the most beautiful person
What
on
are
the
your
planet.
honest thoughts about this?
I think that's horrific.
Yes, it is. Why? Why do you feel that way?
Well, I do. Okay, first off, let's just say I'm saying this for a reason. I like Demi Moore. I think she's a great actress. She was in Ghost. She was one of the Rat Pack. I love Demi Moore. She's a great actress.
Brat Pack. She wasn't with Sammy Davis.
She was with the Brat Pack.
Yeah, you said Rat Pack.
She was with Sinatra.
Yeah.
But she has been open about physically reconstructing from her forehead, all the way down her boobs, her stomach, her everything, all the way down to her thighs. So to name that person as the most beautiful person on the planet, and I don't think she's that beautiful.
Look, you're
Am
allowed.
I wrong?
You're
Now
allowed
I
to
feel like I've ruined
You're
everything.
allowed to have that opinion, and I will say this, Tori.
So you must have a good surgeon.
Should somebody that has had head-to-toe reconstructive surgery, obviously elective surgery, should they be
In
eligible?
the running. What do you think?
No. Yes, but she was beautiful. No shade.
Okay, first of all, let's just be honest. She was really beautiful, really beautiful. Like in Ghost, she is stunning. In anything, she's stunning. Yeah, that's Vanity Fair pregnancy. Okay, and then she got bad work done. And then she did a whole reconstruction, went away for a little while, came back. So it's like a bad scientific, I
But
don't
it's
know.
also, she's not even close to the most beautiful person on the planet. Have you looked around the planet? Sometimes I go somewhere, I'm like, that woman is stunning.
Like, we could open the door and see someone.
Honestly,
for
like
real.
it just, so is this a
Is this
PR
people?
thing?
Is this people?
Like, do people pay for this?
Like, think of the people in India, Brazil, Ethiopia, Israel.
Well, you're
I'm just
naming
naming
huge countries.
Man.
I don't know. Well, wouldn't you think? And I'm saying this as an older person. Would you think would be a younger person?
No, I think they're trying to think of the people audience. And Michael's right. It's a 50-plus woman who likes Demi Moore and thinks she should have won Best Actress, and she didn't.
Win for what?
The Substance. Everyone thought she was going to win. And then Mikey, what's her name? Madison. Am I wrong? You're the movie guy. See? Thank you.
All right.
Someone has substance in here.
All right. Well, Tori, let's talk about another substance, because sometimes when you're on TV live, as we were for 7 years, and in this case, Shaquille O'Neal, my old boss.
Yeah, you worked for him.
I was a writer on his TV show, yes. Well, in this situation, Shaq was on his NBA commentary show in between breaks, and Shaq had to get up and run because the call was coming from inside of the house. So, Tori, I wanted
Wait, you have to say why.
Oh, he had to run to the bathroom.
No. Oh, he's now putting olive oil in his diet.
Yes.
And apparently it goes through you. I don't know that this happens.
Is that olive oil or is that Ozempic?
Oh.
And there's no shade if it is.
This is no kink shame. There's no Ozempic shame.
I will say this, as somebody, especially somebody as big as Shaq.
Yeah, seeing him run.
Shaq had a TV show. It was called Upload with Shaquille O'Neal.
Oh, really?
Yes, it was a clip show. So it was like Tosh 2.0 with Shaq.
Oh.
But he was fun to work with, and he was very open to do. Some celebrities are like, you have me for 2 hours.
Right.
Go, Shaq's like, whatever you want. He's like everything you would want him
in
to be.
Shaq.
So it was great to work with him. But I will say in this case, when you talk about somebody like Shaq, I've never seen somebody so big that every time I saw them, it never wore off.
Like, the size.
Right.
Yeah,
Because
right.
if you work with a celebrity, by the second week, you're like, all right, I'm Dolly Parton's assistant. Yeah, she's awesome, but I got to
Right.
get her dry cleaning. Every time you see Shaq,
He's a
it's
giant.
startling.
Wow.
So I would think that he and his doctors would especially be on top of making sure that his BMI is where it should be, because he's carrying a lot more weight than most people. So if it is Ozempic,
That's true.
no shade. Do what you got to do to make sure you're around, brother. You got kids and all that stuff. So whatever it is, Tori, I have to ask you, without being untoward, was there ever a situation at DBL in which you felt like...
No, but I do remember Jeff once was caught with his mic on in the bathroom.
Really?
Yeah,
I'm surprised that didn't happen more.
I know, because our mics are on. We had a mic pack and an IFB, and we'd be live, so we'd have to run. And sometimes Jeff wouldn't make it back.
Wow. Oh, yeah, sometimes he wouldn't.
Yeah.
I definitely told this story before, so I'll make it quick. But our first show ever, our first live show, remember that makeup artist who was interesting? We'll leave her at that.
Was that?
Made those enchiladas. Oh. And I decided to have enchiladas in a half an hour before we went on air, because I was probably so nervous.
It was just like in tinfoil, and Al ate like a lot.
Yes, and I would say by our second commercial break, I was like, Al, you were still nervous. I was like, no, those aren't nerves. Those aren't nerves.
Those are enchiladas.
Yes, so that was, just you should watch what you eat. But I think that this is a thing, and it is something for people to consider when they do get Ozempic.
For sure. I know a lot of friends that have this. I do too.
Yes.
Totally agree with you. I do want to say this Shaq story. Apparently he made really expensive shoes, like Jordan type of shoes. And then finally a little kid came up to him and he's like, I can never afford your shoes ever. And like the mom said, yeah, or they were affronted by somebody. And that day he sold his company, and now he makes $30 shoes at Walmart. And he was like, I'm never going to do that again. I just like people that can pivot and move. He also wanted to get his master's at University of Phoenix.
Right.
And
he is
and he hired 15. He bought 15 of his friends their master's degree to get it with him.
He's an amazing
Yeah,
person.
what a
He
cool
became a
dude.
real police officer, and this is going to spiral off into a Shaq thing. But it shows the drive that people have, because when he retired from the NBA, he literally didn't have to move. He could have laid in bed and had people feed him grapes for the rest of his life. When we were shooting the Upload TV show we shot in Orlando, and in between reshooting and moving the cameras around, he was going and giving a speech to different 8th graders on Zoom before it was a thing. So he would just leave the set, go be like, hello, Fallbrook Middle School, you can do it, achieve your dreams. And then he would go back. It's just like...
That's a hard worker,
He has
man.
a drive. He also took over Papa John's after, their...
Did he really?
Right, yes.
Remember how that guy...
He owns Papa John's, and I mean,
He
look...
does?
Yeah,
Shaq owns Papa John's?
He's a partial owner, yes.
That's incredible.
Yes, so shout out to Shaq.
That
Keep
is
going.
crazy.
Yes.
Shaq is everywhere. Was Kazam.
Yes. That was one thing that we were always told
Never
in
to
terms
bring
of
up.
joke writers. Shaq didn't like people making fun of his acting. He was very like, take shots at me. He didn't like that, and he didn't like when people did impressions of him where he looked stupid. Yes, but other than that, he, unlike most A-listers, and he's a famous EDM DJ. Did you know this?
EDM, is that electronic dance music? Like, ooncha, ooncha?
Yes.
Okay.
A famous one, like he plays like festivals.
Shaq?
Yes.
I feel like you're making half of
I
these.
swear. Jacob, am I telling the truth? He's like, sure, yes. But yes, so we should all wake up and try and have the same drive that Shaq does.
I think that's great.
All right.
Good for Shaquille O'Neal.
Great commentary.
And does he and Charles Barkley like fight like we do? They actually really like each other. Am I right?
They like each other, but they go after each other, and it gets personal.
It does. That's okay.
There's a line, because when you start talking about people that are at the top of whatever their profession is, you measure yourself against the people in that room.
Right.
And Shaquille O'Neal has championship rings. Charles Barkley doesn't.
Oh, he
And
doesn't?
No. And imagine if, like, every time you and I got into an argument, you were like, well, Al, I went to Yale. Like, you just had that little trump card.
Wow.
That can tweak people wrong, especially when you're already kind of having a contentious
I didn't know that.
conversation.
So Julie Ward brought in Shaq chicken joint icy hot. I forgot he's on that. General Insurance.
Yes.
Which is like anybody, so many things.
But
Interesting.
he's done all of those things. And I will say this, lastly.
He did DJ. That's so funny.
He's done everything.
I didn't know.
The first time that I was on set, and why I have so much anxiety anytime somebody leaves like a laptop kind of partially hanging off a table, we were shooting it at Shaq's mansion, and he has a full basketball court. So we were actually shooting with the late Aaron Carter, because he had a song called I Think I Can Beat Shaq. And so we had a sketch written around that. And so their cameras focused on the basketball court. He's a full, real court in his house. And they were like, stop shooting the basketballs. But it's like, we're at Shaq's house. I'm gonna shoot a hoop. I'm firing one up. So I shot one before we got the note. This PA, which is a production assistant, right when we were about to start shooting, he took one more shot. That shot came right off the rim, and there was a camera that was on a tripod, and it hit
the camera?
And it didn't fall quickly.
Oh, no.
It was the slow fall in slow-mo, like when the vase at your grandmother's house just comes off. And that was his last day with us.
And he was no longer seen again.
He was no longer.
No,
so,
he was not.
Yes, lots of great memories from Shaq.
Has Shaq, I feel like you should get the presidential medal. Okay, moving on from Shaq.
No, let's go into medals that he should probably get.
Let's move on.
Tori, speaking of, since we're walking down memory lane, let's walk down and let's see if we remember an old friend named Joe Exotic. Yes. And this is going to be a whole relationship thing, because I want to mirror this with the George Clooney Amal story that we have as well, that they don't argue, or that he does not argue.
Yeah, if you guys didn't know, just that context, George says he's never fought in 10 years with Amal Clooney. Not one fight, not one argument.
What are your thoughts on
Thank you, Michael Dean, for that addition. Or disagreement.
Is that weird?
That's bull.
You think that's bull?
Yeah.
But why would he lie about that?
I also think that's terrible.
Why?
Because psychologically, you should be able to trust and fight with your partner. Your partner and you should be able to go at it hard, knowing that you have each other's back in the end.
How often should you be going at it before you go, we might have a problem?
Clearly, there's problems on either end, right? But if you're not fighting at all, are you having passionate conversations? Are you having diverse conversations? Are you having arguments about the world? So what are you guys talking about? Like, Lake Cuomo's awesome. Yeah.
Do you want your partner to have a little pushback?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you? Or do you want a doormat?
I don't know if it's a doormat. I just think
you want a doormat?
No, not at all.
Okay.
My girl is very opinionated.
Right.
I just don't know if you guys are arguing about a lot of things, like almost everything that's in the news. If they have the polar response to you, is that a good thing?
No.
Meaning that you're able to find middle ground or is that like maybe a signal that you guys don't agree on a lot of things?
I just really think that George Clooney is transparent. I really like him, and I like what he stands for. And I cannot believe that in 10 years he's never argued whether they have two twin kids. Like, you didn't fight over diapers. You didn't fight over.
And that's kind of to my point. And here's the bigger point with the story that I wanted to get to. I think when people read stories like this, they read that they haven't had a fight, and they're like, that's great, I want to have that. I would argue that finances are, even if it's not right on top, right underneath underlying tension
as to
in a
what
relationship.
you fight about.
In everybody's relationship, whether it's like, Tori, I want to go on a vacation with you, I love you, but like we can't do it this year. And now you have some hostility to me that like lingers over 6 months, or
totally. But the richest of the rich are still gonna fight over, like, you left the bathrooms, like, you still left this messy again, or you didn't cook this, or we didn't.
But you have chefs, you have house cleaners.
So what are you talking?
All of those things that normally spark fights, all those things that are very true, which you just said, they're not there. So that's why I tend to believe. And they have 2 kids, but when you have 2 kids, you might have a nanny for each kid.
Yeah.
You might have 2-on-1 nannies. So I don't, especially like when they're young, people do have like a night nanny and a day nanny.
You wouldn't be totally weirded out if you and your partner didn't fight. I think I'm asking the audience here. Oh, okay. Megan says, my husband and I never really fight. We have disagreements, but you get over it. But you have disagreements.
Well, I think a disagreement in a fight is different. A fight is like we should separate and maybe revisit this because this is getting contentious and voices are getting raised. A disagreement is just like, we've gone to your friend's house 2 weekends in a row. I want to go watch the game at Nick's house. That's like a disagreement. A fight is just like somebody probably needs to leave that room because it's getting really, people are saying things that are getting turned up.
Yeah.
A fight is a big, if you tell me you had a fight with your husband, that would be different than like, he and I have been disagreeing a lot lately. That's a bigger.
I have a real problem with a dynamic of a decade, and you've never had a time where you needed to
What would you fight about? You guys would be like, our lives are awesome again.
It's not all awesome. Just because you're rich, it's not like you don't have any issues whatsoever.
It cuts them down. And what issues would George and Amal have?
Little things like
Where to vacation? When that's the first thing I do, that's your big issue?
that's not great.
Yeah.
That's not a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm just, I don't know. I love my husband, Donald Trump. Okay, cool. Good for you. They are both emotionally mature. I don't know, Lisa. I would argue that being able to trust your partner and having a complex relationship means that you're more mature if you can fight. I just think that's really weird. It feels like I'm walking in a museum of like porcelain glass and no one can say anything. And I want a relationship and a marriage that feels like there's sofas and couches and there can be comfort and there can be fights and there can be trust.
I don't know how those two things are.
I knew you were going to do the
Well,
first.
it's a weird thing. I think it also depends on how you grew up. If you grew up in a house where there
that's
was
fair.
tension,
I agree with that.
where there was arguments, I think that some people lean away from fights.
Sure,
when maybe
yes.
you need to have that fight.
Totally agree. I grew up with a loud family.
Right.
Like,
I think that's good, though.
Yeah, like Italians and Jews. I don't know about black people. I don't want to put everybody in one thing. I feel like a really weird saying that. But like,
I don't know how loud are black people.
But like Jews.
In a scale of 1, I can't hear the movie. Okay.
I'm just saying the stereotype is real for like Jews fight. Like when you're like, what are you talking about, Ma? What do you mean? Like there's, and then it's over and it's exploded and it's over. And in the Christian way, when we think of it, it's very like, please pass the salt, Bobby.
And
like
the tension.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because obviously a lot of black folks are Christians, and especially black folks that are around my age, late 40s and into their 50s. I can only speak for myself, but I think I can speak for a lot of y'all, where there were rules like you don't even ask grown people where they're going. Like the hierarchy was so there. Like I never felt comfortable raising my voice to my mom.
See,
that wouldn't happen if we were about to get onto a helicopter. Would I ever raise my voice? Like it wouldn't happen. So the fact that like you were able to have that interaction with your mother, I think in a weird way kind of sped up your maturation because you're like, this is a person that is higher than me in the social order of our house, but also I have a voice.
And I have trust that she's okay to handle a fight. I think that's a big thing. I don't know. There should be a lot of trust there. Okay. Why are you breathing so loud? Catholics ... fight.
Really? I think we get our relationship dynamic. Obviously, we get how we eat from our family. That's why that whole thing about like unlearning all the finish your plate kind of things.
Like
that
clean
was a big
plate
deal.
club, yeah.
I feel like we think that once we turn 18, you're an adult and like you just wash your hands of it. All these things that you took in, I think for myself, when I look back on my past relationships, tension in the house was something that I tended to literally run from.
Like
and
static.
I would just any kind of like, if you and I are having like an argument and we're together, like I would just be gone.
You bounce.
I would bounce.
So fight or flight, Al flies.
I did not want to be in a house with tension. And I would say I grew up in a loving home, but there must be something there and it definitely affected relationships because I learned that you need to stay. And if you're going to have the fight and have it in a structured way where it's like, how I feel, I know how you feel, we're still mad. Let's revisit this at 7:30. You go to your corner, I'll go to mine.
That's called maturation, buddy.
Right. Oh, thank you.
That's
but
amazing.
I didn't do that at first. I would just leave. And that just, that tends to build the tension a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, Tori, let's relieve the tension by talking about our good friend, Joe Exotic. Yes. Tell everybody where Joe Exotic's from, Tori.
Joe Exotic is from the South,
Florida.
and he owned a big cat community, and as we all know him as the Tiger King. When 2020 happened, we all somehow watched the same thing on Netflix all at once. And Joe Exotic was put in jail for, I believe, attempted murder.
Yes, I believe he tried to. Oh, I love that. I love our poll.
Oh my God, you guys
would you
are the
marry
worst.
Joe Exotic? Let's completely tell the audience what Michael Dean said about his new beau.
So he's getting married, guys, in jail. This is his 6th marriage. He's getting married in jail to another person in jail. Oh, he got married, and he is in for immigration issues. And Michael Dean finds him very hot. Okay, so yeah, and he is still asking Trump to commute his sentence, and pardon his sentence. By the way, Trump has full power to do so. And Trump has jokingly asked if he should. So there's still a possibility of attempted murder, Joe Exotic getting out of jail. But yeah, he got married to some guy.
Look, Joe Exotic has...
Guess there's someone for everyone.
Well, Joe has had a lot of somebodies.
Joe has got game.
He
gets
also
a
being
lot of like
very
really
coercive.
attractive. Yeah. And Michael Dean's agreed. Like he has a lot of people, younger men, in his big cat club.
Yeah. What do you think the source of those young men coming around was, Tori?
You mentioned something that rhymes with Smith.
Yes. Yes. I mean, look, it's no different than when you see a creepy guy and he's always got a 20-year-old girl at his house and it's like, what?
I know, there's something to being offered.
Yes. There's something.
Joe must be packing. That's not right, you guys. That is not right. And someone said, was he in a federal prison? If you are put up in a state charge, the president can't pardon you. But yes, Megan, he was for murder, I believe, is a federal crime. So they have him in a federal prison, I believe.
I would say that we will definitely see Joe Exotic be released.
And you know when? Al, when? When do we see that diversion? When something bad happens.
That's exactly what it is.
Joe Exotic suddenly comes out of prison.
He's the ultimate, like the baby rattle, the look over here.
Totally.
I think that Trump and his people probably have a list of people that they're just keeping, like in case of another Hexith signal emergency. I think Joe Exotic's one away from getting out.
I completely agree with you. And it works for Americans. We're like, wait, did Tiger King get out? And we're like, completely forget all about that.
Well, how do you feel about that? People getting out of jail and then assuming some type of celebrity status, because we did see it with the... Martha Stewart's a different.
She got picked on because she was a woman.
She absolutely did. I watched that Martha doc.
Absolutely did.
Yeah, they went after her.
Everybody did insider trading my ass.
I'm thinking about.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, Martha Stewart. Did you see that documentary,
That
Michael?
was not fair.
It was great.
It was a great documentary.
But I'm thinking of the girl that killed her mom.
Oh, okay. She didn't kill her mom. She had her boyfriend kill her mom. That was Gypsy Rose Blanchard.
Right.
And she was physically tortured.
Well, I mean, look, we cannot go down the road of explaining away, like you're doing right now, why she was allowed to be adjacent to her
She
mother's.
served her time. She went to jail. Oh. She didn't get out. She wasn't commuted. She served her time.
She served all of her time?
She's a convicted felon. She had a nose job. She's doing her thing, trying to make her money.
No, but I mean, she's not making her money. She's a celebrity. How do you feel about that? Because Jeff used to. Yeah. That would really be off-putting to him. And I mean, we saw this. Gypsy Rose is one person that a lot of people can get behind, but we saw this with the Dahmer situation when he got big, and then all of a sudden Dahmer is a Halloween costume, and people are like, "That guy killed my brother."
Yeah. I think you have to just do case by case basis. Like I don't know. I have a weird thing where I stand up very strongly for Gypsy Rose because of like I know deeply about what happened because she was physically and medically tortured. So I think she stood up for herself and had self-defense. So that's a separate issue for me. But there is this.
So how do you feel about the Menendez brothers?
Well, they are having a resentencing coming out. I just read a really long article about that, and I really believe that the Menendez brothers need a new sentence. I really do. I know they brutally shot their parents, but I believe they were SA'd by their dad strongly, and believe there was. I just believe they need a new trial because that evidence wasn't allowed to be brought up in court. And I think that's
So how are you going to feel
bullshit.
when they get out and they have Pepsi endorsements and all? Do you think
Pepsi's going to have a Menendez brother
I would think anybody.
Can you imagine? Like,
I would think anybody, because if you want to,
oh my God.
their story captured, I guess maybe Gen Alpha, who are the people who kind of brought their story back to life?
Yeah, like actually Gen Z kind of brought it. Yeah,
Young Gen Z,
really young Gen Z.
Really,
yeah.
they found the story that was kind of old to us.
And the documentary came out.
Right, and then they looked at the court footage and they saw that there were some
And they interviewed
improprieties.
witnesses, right?
So that being said, those Menendez brothers now control the eyeballs and the attention of an entire generation of people that fought to get them
Yeah, but
out.
you would never have O.J. Simpson be your guy.
But O.J. Simpson wasn't as likable as them. They seemed like victims. O.J. Simpson seemed like the bully.
Look, I think it's fair when someone has had malpractice and judicial ignorance and miscarriage of justice brought and resentenced and retried, which I think the Menendez brothers do. But Americans love death. The Black Dahlia, they just love murderers. That's like a thing we have. So it's always going to happen no matter what. Those types of people, the Dahmers, the Mansons, they're going to be dark, dark celebrities. And we're going to watch them and want to know about them until the day they die.
Well, this speaks more to just a personal theory that I've always had.
Ooh, personal theory.
Yes, we should have a personal...
personal theory time.
Yes, we need a personal theory sound effect. But I just have always said the bad guys are always way more interesting. Darth Vader, his backstory is much more interesting than Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker's just like walking around, he's whining, he's wearing linen. Like, you're
What's
like,
wrong with linen? It's a breathable fabric.
But like Darth Vader, it's like, why does he cover his face? What's that breathing box he's got? Oh, who's that? He has a much. I think that it's weird how we structure our stories. We have a hero, and they go on the hero's journey.
Sure, the black hat, white hat.
Right. Just like, they have to make it through adversity, and then they save the day. But I think a lot more of us can relate to the idea of there are parts of you that you're ashamed of. There are parts of you and there's things that you've done that you wish hadn't happened and caused you to do something bad to cover that up. I think a lot more people can relate to that than a perfect white knight that's got a sword. Like, I honor and justice. People are like, man, get out of here.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I do think that's better is probably the imperfect hero. I like those types of stories. And that's when you get like the hero that isn't always good. A complicated hero. That's what a real good story will have, is where the hero does bad and you can be invested in that hero and you can go and feel what they've done is hard to completely invest in, but that makes them more human.
Yes.
Best Star Trek series or movie?
You mean Star Wars?
The best Star Wars.
You just insulted like so many people.
Yes, and it's gonna lead me to actually something what Michael Dean asked is gonna lead me to something I kind of brought up during my stand-up, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it. In terms of Star Wars, my favorite Star Wars was The Empire Strikes Back. I think that ever since I was a kid, and it's weird because now that I make videos and I like to make movies, I'm very into the set. I like the all snow, and I like the idea of just a battlefield. But I do like the fact that the bad guys won. I liked the fact that the bad guys won. I'm sorry, even as a kid, when I was watching one of those Star Wars and the Ewoks came and they were having a dance, I was like, get out of here with this. I think that this country would be better prepared for maybe what's going on right now if we had seen a couple times, Tori, where the bad guys won, because they win a lot. They win a lot. I mean, Bernie Madoff got away with what he did till he's, 84? I would call that a win for him.
You know what's funny? That's kind of why I like Tarantino movies, when they have the reverse revenge. Like Django Unchained, like the enslaved guy wins. Or like Sharon Tate doesn't get killed while pregnant. Like he does a lot of the what you wish happened instead of the bad guy winning. And I always love the Nazi one.
There's Inglourious Basterds.
Yeah, they take over
But
they
is
win.
that coddling our human mind that we can't, we never dealt with the fact that Nazism came very close to being a global ideology, and the fact that we never dealt with that is why we're in the situation that we're in now. Because I guess I have to say allegedly, but a couple months ago, a lot of us sure thought we saw Elon Musk step in front of the entire world and give a Zig Heil. So clearly the fact that we did not deal with Nazism as well as, ironically, Germany did, which put that out like a cigarette on a rainy sidewalk. They were like, there's no more playing around with this. The fact that we've always played footsie with our history and being unable to discuss what happened, the genocides that happened with the Native Americans. I never learned about internment camps. Those were in the 40s. That was here in this country. We never talk about these things. The picking and choosing of just taking MLK at a civil rights, but not talking about Jim Crow and the after effects of that. Unpleasant stuff no one wants to talk about, stuff that's going to get people upset. But I wonder if we had done that and we had put that to bed, would we not have then now another generation of 12-year-olds that think it's cool, the Nazi salute is cool, because they have no context for what that really meant.
I understand what you mean. I feel like if you made movies, you would make it so the bad guy wins. Or you at least have it so that there isn't a clear winner. Because I think in your way of seeing life, you don't see clear winners.
I don't think that there ever is.
Or you don't think that's an accurate take on life.
I don't think that you can ever have that. And I think the idea that I've constantly battled with as a person is like trying to say, well, I did it and I achieved this. But it's like that comes at a sacrifice. That me being on the road, trying to become the best comedian, I wasn't with my kids those nights. And I have to wrestle with that and those decisions that I made.
Yeah.
You know, and whether you want to be a lawyer or a doctor, all of us have guilt that we're dealing with. And I wonder if we could have processed it better if we had some real difficult conversations rather than just papering things over with, you know, so-and-so had a cherry tree and that's our history. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's so interesting. Just so you know, my school only taught in 8th grade, we only read books that had been banned. So we only read the ones that you're not allowed to read. And the school was like, you're supposed to read the ones that history has tried to unteach you for that purpose only, which is really fabulous.
I remember, you know, I'm not that old, but I do remember sitting in middle school and on a civics test, we were learning about enslaved people, and the teacher would not say the word slavery. She just kept calling it the peculiar institution.
Oh, the peculiar. Oh, yeah, of course.
And just like the fact that we were unable to even talk about that, even at that time, I wonder is why, again, it seems like we've been kind of stuck in neutral as it returns to race relations, because people don't really have an accurate history of what's happening.
Especially, and then you go back to like Vietnam, and how that worked out. Sorry to bum you guys out, everybody.
Okay, let's get off of this, and let's just, we're gonna wrap up. Tori, what do you want to say to the people before we get out of here? Anything about Vietnam?
I'm sorry. Everyone just be good to yourselves and treat each other well and send good vibes. I'm up for a big audition.
All right.
Al, what about you? When do you go back on tour?
I'll be back on tour next week, so check out my Instagram, Al Jackson IG, for all my upcoming dates. I love you guys, Night Owls. You guys are amazing.
Amazing. Hoot toot. Bye, guys.
See ya.